City Council this Monday, February 13th. For those of you who are wishing to engage in public participation, there are two ways to submit a comment. Submit your written comments by the meeting day, and secondly, to attend the meeting in person. To submit a comment in writing, please visit www.dalycity.org/agendas, or you can email your public comment to cityclerk@dalycity.org. To watch the live telecast, you can go on YouTube at Daly City Video Meetings or www.dalycity.org/agendas. Let me call this meeting to order. Would you all please rise and say the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can we get a roll call, please?
Ms. Di Giovanni,
Present.
Dr. Rod,
Present.
Ms. Manalo,
Present.
Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, present.
Mr. Buenaventura.
Present. All right, now we're on to presentations. We are going to be presenting a proclamation for Black History Month. And let me just read the proclamation into the record. This is a proclamation of Black History Month 2023, whereas February is officially celebrated as Black History Month to honor the achievements of African Americans in general, as well as their ongoing role in the development of the United States and their contributions to the city of Daly City in particular. In 1926, historian and author Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who is known as the father of Black history studies, introduced Negro History Week to resist racism and to highlight the role Blacks have played in the development of civilization. And in 1992, the city of Daly City began honoring African Americans by observing Juneteenth, the oldest known celebration commemorating the ending of slavery in the United States, and over time, the Juneteenth commemoration grew into a celebration of Black History Month. And African Americans residing in Daly City have contributed to the betterment of our community through their skills with volunteerism, their strength and vitality, their civic pride, and their business ventures. And in 2023, National Black History Month theme is Black Resistance, focusing on African American spirituals, gospel, folk music, hip hop, and rap that have been used to express struggle, hope, and solidarity in the face of racial oppression, as music has been motivated for strength, harassment, and to express freedom. And this year, 2023, the 31st consecutive year of commemorating Black history in Daly City, the Daly City Department of Library and Recreation Services will host a celebration featuring Oscar and Grammy Award-winning documentary film Summer of Soul, or When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised, featuring long-missing Harlem cultural event footage, as well as have an interactive panel discussion break. 1960s inspired delicious refreshments and more planned to foster community. And the Daly City community is invited to this free in-person event that will be held from 6 to 8:30 p.m. Friday, February 17th, and all are encouraged to sign up to attend. Limited seating is available. Now, therefore, I, Ray Buenaventura, Mayor and members of the Daly City Council, do hereby proclaim February 2021 as Black History Month in Daly City and encourage residents to celebrate the contributions of African Americans to American history, society, and culture. Here to accept the proclamation is Daly City Arts Administrator Leslie DeBridge.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Vice Mayor and Council members. Good evening.
I want to just echo something that Mayor shared. Yes, this year's focus is about music as a way of spiritual healing for African Americans, as well as to forward the cause for resistance and change. And this year's film includes a lot of lost footage that's never been seen before, that has been recovered after 50 years. And so we are hosting that movie here. The location has been changed. It is now at City Hall. It was first announced at another location. So it is free. It is open to the public. There is limited seating, so please register at www.dalycity@iplay.org. We have two other special parts to the evening. One is an interactive audience panel discussion. We have some questions that will be hosted to get some critical thinking, get your thoughts and ideas about what was going on in that film, what was happening with African Americans at that time. Some people will be from that era that will be here that signed up already. The third part is Opal Fuller, our Senior Services Congregate Lunch Program cook, will be putting together some 1960s inspired light refreshments. So we hope that you come out, be inspired with us as we have an evening of music and inspiration. Thank you very much, and good evening.
Hold on one second, we might have some comments. Any comments? Madam Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much for just your continuous support. I think you've done exceptional programming over the years, and always just enlightenment with all of the themes, and bringing across so many people from not only in Daly City, the Bay Area, across the nation. I mean, and that's when I talk about it exceptional, because not only is it culture, but you also bring about dialogue and conversation, and it's extremely thought out on how you produce your events, and it is a gift to the city of Daly City. And so for those that are watching, please join our celebration, and really appreciate all the time and effort you've done. I look forward to joining.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Other comments? Go ahead, Dr. Rock.
Leslie, thank you for always organizing year after year. It's a beautiful thing to learn, and I just want to share one of my academic heroes was Carter G. Woodson, and he had a quote that said that if you can control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his action. When you determine what a man shall think, you don't have to concern yourself about what he will do. If you make a man feel that he is inferior, you do not have to compel him to accept an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. And one of those quotes that really resonated with me was because that's the whole theme of like knowledge of self. And if we don't have that strong foundation of knowledge of self, we don't have to worry about people's actions. If you tell this narrative that they're not going to be anything generation after generation, but this idea of knowledge of self and going back to the roots, and that there was a history before slavery, is really, really important. Inspired me to become a professor in ethnic studies, and what you do year after year, bringing artists and storytellers is so important to Daly City, and I appreciate the work. And the documentary is beautiful. I watched it. The reason why I watched it because it's produced by one of my favorite hip hop bands, The Roots. It's produced by Questlove, and I loved it. I love everything about it. It's like you can't talk about hip hop unless you talk about all the different histories and struggles and survival stories of the Black experience. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Rock. Any other comment? Go ahead, Mr. Gill.
Thank you. I'm Ms. Leslie.
Yes.
Thank you for being here in the windy conditions. And just to let you know, in the blessed memory of your mother, and that doesn't go unnoticed year after year as you carry on her legacy, and you carry on the truth, and you carry on the idea that we still have to struggle for equality, that the struggle is still there. We need to recognize it and not be quiet about it, and not just sit back, because we know that silence says a lot. And that Martin Luther King Jr. always said that. There's so many great heroes that come out of that, even in our local Bay Area, as yourself and your mother and your family. And we know that Ike Elliott and so many people just right here in our community that had things that happened in their own front yard, right? They have protest signs and redlining and all that segregation. I just recently got a book about Daly City and the surrounding areas about that particular redlining. So when you read about it and you hear about it directly of people that it actually affected, and then you realize, yes, okay, we've come but let's make it for everyone, you know, our community. So, you know, we all come from the same creator, and I think that's important to notice with kindness, love, respect, dignity, integrity, and truth. And that's what you exemplify. And year after year, you bring this forward for all of us to remind, and I look forward to the event. Hope everybody listening and then trying to get the word out. And our recreation's done a great job trying to push it out there. And then year after year, we need to continue and we need to grow in it and have full support. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Leslie. And you are a gem in our community.
Thank you.
And in our
I'm thankful for the entire recreation team that it does take a village. Hands out. Wear your bell bottoms if you choose to.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I have one.
Mr. Sylvester, go ahead.
Yes, Mrs. Stubridge, thank you for being here. We are definitely well aware of everything you've done. I think I'd like to thank my fellow colleagues here on the council for the awareness of Black History Month. Ever since the passing of the 13th Amendment until this very day, as Councilmember D. Giovanni alluded to, actually the passing of the amendment was not for just the abolishment of slavery, but would lead to further acts of discrimination, such as what has occurred here in Daly City in the publication Color of Law, where folks were discriminated based on their race, color, national origin, religion, sex, family status, and even disability. I think, and I strongly feel, that the awareness of the African American Black History Month only goes to validate and verify the continuance of the erasure of discrimination of all sorts, which I believe started out with the 13th Amendment. So thank you so much for what you continue to do. I think today is a very important day because of the proclamation, but yet the proclamation has led to other areas, not for only the Black African Americans, but for all cultures as well. So thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, let's go on to the approval of the January 23rd, 2023 minutes. Any modifications or corrections?
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
there is a modification on city council reports. And it says, I think, Filipino Nurses Association. It's Philippine, just Philippine Nurses Association.
Okay, any other modifications or changes? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the minutes as modified?
Motion to approve?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Objection, hearing none, those minutes are approved. Let's go on to the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any objection? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Moving on to public appearances, oral communications. Do we have any public comment? No public comment? None. All right, let's go on to the consent agenda. Who wants to pull an item?
Mr. Mayor, if
Yes,
I may?
go
Thank you
ahead.
very much. I'd like to pull item number 4.
Number 4 is pulled. Anything else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. 5 and 6.
5 and 6. Anybody else? Okay, with the exception of 4, 5, and 6, can I get a motion to approve 3, 7, 8, and 9?
Motion to approve. Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Objection, hearing none, those items are approved. Let's go now to number 4, which is accepting the grant deed for the Tita Alice Bulos Community Hub from City Ventures Home Building LLC. Mr. Chu.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. This item is to accept the grant deed for the Tita Alice Bulos Community Hub from City Ventures Home Building, LLC. Back in June of 2017, the City Council heard a presentation from City Ventures to obtain a preliminary review on a proposed development at 3301 Junipero Serra Boulevard. This is the former Serra Bowl site. During the discussions, a member of the City Council expressed a desire to have a community room. Subsequent to that, at the January 2019 City Council meeting, City Ventures did present a proposal to build the Sierra Station Townhouse project, and it did include a 1,050 square foot community hub. The City Council subsequently approved the project, including a condition of approval for the development to deed over the new community hub to the city. On September of 2019, the City Council approved a resolution to name the community hub in the honor of Alice Peña Bulos. The developer has now completed the Tita Alice Bulos Community Hub in accordance with the project conditions as required. Upon recordation of the grant deed, the space will become a new city facility. It'll be owned by the city in fee. As a result of that, the city will be part of the HOA of that development, and we will also be responsible for maintenance of the interior of the facility, custodial services, etc. This proposed action will accept a new facility into the city's inventory. The fiscal impacts, the estimated annual cost is approximately $25,000. It'll include, HOA fees, utilities, maintenance costs, things like that. There will also be a one-time furniture and equipment purchase of approximately $25,000 just to furnish the new space. So in summary, staff is recommending that the City Council approve and authorize the city manager to accept on behalf of the city the grant deed of the Tita Alice Bulos Community Hub from City Ventures Home Building LLC. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I think City Ventures is here as well, if you have any questions for them.
Ms. Manal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Director Chu, for that presentation. In regards to the interiors of the facilities, that's what we would maintain. But anything such as, is there, like, I want to understand, like, anything regarding the roof?
No, the roof is exterior, and typically that would fall under the responsibility of the HOA. We would be subject to HOA fees to pay for some of those things. The interior, issues, those would be city maintenance, in addition to utility cost, custodial cleaning services, and then the recreational programming based on our rental rates for facilities.
Okay, great. So this would be a new facility for residents to rent out once that program is instilled, and also an ability to have maybe youth programming in that space.
I think that's definitely a possibility, and I think recreation will be evaluating that with city manager's office in regards to just rental to residents, or if there's a potential proposed long-term tenant of some sort, those could all be evaluated and discussed.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say thank you so much for your presentation on this, and also the partnership with City Ventures in having a community hub for residents to use and rent. I know that we have a lot of recreational facilities, but this is a location in which there isn't a recreation rental opportunity, whether it's a small baby shower or a party, or whether it's community residents that want to get together and use a space, and also maybe some organizing of community organizations that may need a space. It's really special to have this right there, the Tita Alice Community Hub. I remember when the grandson passed by and saw, the honor to his grandmother. It was really something special since it's just right there across from the Como BART station. And for it to be honored in her name and for the tremendous work she's done in not only the Filipino-American community, but the community at large, and for the city of Daly City to have something in addition to the leadership of Mayor Benaventura having the highway, a state highway, and his leadership for that. It is a testament to the selfless work that Tita Alice Bulos did for many generations, and also a place for the community to see a reflection of themselves as Tita Alice Bulos did so much for others. So thank you so much for that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Manalo. Any other comments, or, go ahead, Ms.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chu, for being here, and thank you. I see the young lady from City Ventures. Thank you for being here. And I do have just a couple of questions. I remember you mentioned the HOA fees, and on the back of the staff report, are we responsible for those HOA fees, and if so, how much? Because on the paragraph on the back of the staff report, I thought it read something about the project conditions of approval approved on January the 14th require that the city be exempt from HOA fees to the extent allowed by law. So is that just saying that there will be a fee, but we don't know the fee, Rose or Mr. Chu?
I mean, there is a fee, and yes, there are certain things that can exempt us from HOA fees, but not everything can be exempt, and those are the things that we've worked out with the developer, and so we're not able to end up paying zero HOA fees because there are certain things that legally they're not able to exempt us from. As a result of that, we also have the ability, if we wanted to have a member on the board of the HOA if we desire to do so. But yes, there are HOA fees. We're not paying the full amount as maybe a commercial storefront would, because there are some things that we can be exempt.
So do we have a number on the amount, approximate amount, or so that the people know that approximately?
Yeah, the estimated amount includes the HOA with utilities. So annually, we're estimating around $25,000 total, which includes it. I don't have the breakdown right now specifically for just the HOA.
Would you happen to know? Yeah, do you mind? Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you,
Nice to see you.
Councilmember. Nice to see you. Yes, so the HOA fees are approximately $200 per month. That includes the trash and a lot of the utilities that you would otherwise pay for. And it, as Director Chu said, it is lower than what the other HOA members are paying.
Okay, so but that includes our utilities?
Not all of them. It includes trash and common water, but your power, there's no gas because it's solar all electric. Your power, any cable, those are not included. And
Okay.
and if the sewer district charges sewer rates as well, that's not
Like
included.
internet service, we would have to get that ourselves. Yeah, so.
Okay, and then where does, and then just a little mini breakdown of the 25,000. Is that because of the $200 a month approximately?
It includes that, that's correct.
Okay.
It includes that.
So that would be,
And then also custodial services, we have built into that as well. So yes, that 25,000 roughly per year. We kind of look at other similar facilities that we have of similar size, and so that's kind of how we came up with it. We don't know exactly the utility bill
Yeah.
service yet, but based on other comparable sites that we have about the same size, we kind of came up with this estimate in terms of the 25,000 per year.
because of the square footage, perhaps 1,050 square feet?
Correct, compared
That's
to
probably
another
why.
facility that we have of similar size, and so. yes.
Okay, yeah, because I was wondering where the 25,000, it says initial, then one-time equipment, that's approximately another 25, is that correct?
Yeah,
For the
that's for
furniture?
purchasing furniture, chairs, tables, some computer equipment. That's for that one-time initial furnishing of the site, of the space.
deciding on what kind of design on the inside or something accessible for the
Yeah, and
community?
we've been working with recreation staff. In
Okay,
terms of,
what
you
they
know,
recommend?
chairs and, yeah, and some computer
Okay.
equipment, things like that.
Okay, that's good. I was just, because I just wanted to break it down just a little bit for the people. And then according to and then obviously they're going to have the same type of rental fees, I know that. Yeah, so I'm not worried. Resident, non-resident.
Yeah, we have an approved rental rate by the city council, and it's broken up by like size of facilities,
Right.
like large, small, medium.
Sure. Okay, so that's good. And then what about the parking for that area?
There's 8 parking spaces included
Okay.
for the city, for that space. So that's part of this as well.
So,
So there is some dedicated parking spaces specifically for the use of that community hub room.
and what approximately is the capacity of people that are allowed in the 1,050, approximately, usually?
I'd say probably in the neighborhood of 50 people, roughly,
Yeah.
max. I mean, it depends on standing or everyone's
So the
sitting.
hope is that the people that live there will probably use the facility as well, right? So that they can just walk over and have family events or,
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
already been some.
Interest, right?
Some interest from some of the folks there in terms of
Oh, that's
having
good.
space for HOA meetings or things like that.
Oh,
And
that's good.
I'm sure, you know, birthday parties, that's definitely a possibility.
so then we charge them if they have the meetings there?
Yeah, we would.
Okay.
Because it's just like we would rent, you know, any of our other city facilities.
And, because so eventually we'll be able to recoup, hopefully, that's the idea, the 25,000 for the cost recovery and,
We would definitely recoup some of it. It just kind of depends on how much, you know, requests for rentals, you know, how popular it is to be rented, yes. So definitely some of that would be recovered.
yeah, sorry to all the questions, but, because I remember on that meeting, because I went back and tried to review some of that, because I know that Rose was really busy today, like always. So I went back and I remember that there was discussion about the plumbing, right? Because you said that it could be part of the depending on whether we would be responsible for the plumbing or for the exterior, correct? So that would be determined on the,
Well, it depends on where the issue is.
Right.
So for example, there's a
Makes
water
sense.
heater inside specifically for
Correct.
that space. And if that water heater failed, that would be a city responsibility.
okay.
There's a main water line that comes in and services the entire
Sure.
facility, then that's probably the developer's responsibility to address.
So in the CC&R, so when the amount is determined, do you have an approximate amount when that amount will be determined? Oh, I'm sorry, to make it keep getting. Thank you.
No, thank you for allowing me to answer questions. And I did want to also elaborate that there are 8 spaces that are dedicated, but there are 42 spaces overall that are open.
Oh,
So the parking should be well accommodated.
that's good.
The HOA fees are already in place and the CCNRs are already recorded. So that $200 number, I can't remember if it's like 217, it's somewhere around there. That's already been approved by the State Department of Real Estate. HOA fees are already being paid. Everything is
Okay,
ready
so,
to transition
and then when
to.
we give our HOA fees, do we give that just out of our general fund? How does that get paid?
At the end of the day, it comes out of our general
That's our
fund.
Mr. Finance.
But yeah, in terms of, you know, some of the rental rates that we receive, potentially can
Okay,
get back.
so we're able to
replenished.
recoup if we can
Yeah,
even
we
that part.
definitely would be able to recover some of the costs. Whether we're able to recover all of the costs will depend on,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
you know, how much it
Hopefully
gets
they'll enjoy it
rented.
and
Yeah.
pass it on to the relatives and and all the other people at because it does have a lot of people there, so, and then this way they could just walk over. They don't have to even spend anything to go over there, right? Okay, so thank you for that, and thank you for being here. Appreciate it, the questions. Thank you, Mr. Chu, and thank you, Mayor.
All
And
right, any other questions?
I don't believe so at this time, thank you.
Mr. Sylvester, go ahead.
Mr. Chu, thank you for the presentation. Ms. Hauser, it's good to see you back again, and I'm glad that City Ventures kept to their word in
Yeah.
providing the city another mechanism to provide a community center and also to honor the legacy of Tita Alice Bulos. Councilmember DiGiovanni was on track because most of the questions I was going to ask has been asked by Councilmember DiGiovanni. I wanted to indicate that as I read your staff report, it says one-time furniture and equipment purchases are estimated to be about $25,000. I don't have a problem with that. However, I do, and I'm concerned about cost recovery. Now, in taking the fees, what I've heard, $200 for HOA, no, this is a rough estimate, and I got a number of $70 here for something else, and I estimated over a year's period, that's $1,000. If I get to the something else, if I remember, I was taking quick notes, I'll bring it up. Power consumption, I'm estimating $200 a month, at least as a minimum. So that would bring it to $2,400 a year, not unless we have some power savings, like when the place is not in use, power's turned off, except for the exception of refrigerator, gas, pilot. So those figures alone by themselves, not taking into account the maintenance, comes up to $4,900 a year at a minimum. Now, if we talk about maintenance and custodial work, if we rented out normal rental fees, I don't know how recreation does it, but there's a security fee and a cleaning fee to which those who utilize the premises have to leave it in the same way as when they got it in order to get their deposit back. So if you said earlier, if it's based upon the usage, I'm just wondering how much of custodial fees would the city have to expend if, say, the place is not used within a week? Do they have to go in there every day regardless? So I think what I'm looking at is cost recovery. I think is going to even itself out. I'm very optimistic that it will, based upon all the other locations that we have in the city. So that's just my comment. Parking was an issue until I was enlightened about the 8 spaces, because I know just at the last council meeting, we discussed a possible development that's going to happen right across the street in the years to come. So that might be something we have to look at later on, that folks utilizing the community center will not be able to park there. You made mention about a tenant use. I mean, I understand if there's anyone, long-term tenant you indicated. What does that mean? Like a tenant can come in and say, use it during business hours every day if we find one, but at the end, it's open to the community? I heard long-term tenant. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, yes, I'd be happy to. Obviously, if, for example, if there's a nonprofit of some sort that had a desire to look for a space, and if the city and the council was open to trying to accommodate, then potentially that could be an example of a space that this might be able to be used for. But obviously something like that would definitely need to go to, come before you all to kind of consider that and the use of that.
Excellent. All right. Thank you for that clarification, because if it did come to fruition, then that would have to come to council to consider all the different aspects, including even taking away the availability of a community center for others, the costs involved, how much we're going to get if we put a 501c3 or, again, a nonprofit organization in there. Okay, thank you. Annual square footage. Is the HOA based on the square footage as in other, I seem to have heard that, other commercial establishments? If there's another one next door that's 150 square feet, would the city be paying the same HOA fees? Is it fair across the board?
Yeah, typically, so our space, the community hub space, it basically consists of two, what they call shopkeeper units. So yes, there are some other units right next to this space, which is like approximately half the size, because we have, two shopkeepers unit to form this one community hub. If we were not the city and it was just a regular space rented out, each one of those spaces probably have about the same HOA fee.
Gotcha.
And us having two of them probably would be twice as much.
Right.
But because of the city and some of the exemptions, as Samantha mentioned, we have the ability to be exempt from some of those fees.
Excellent. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Just one quick one. Mr. Chu, I know because it's everybody. Just so we'd have to have a staff person, obviously, on the weekends or whenever they want to rent it. So I don't want to overwork our staff in recreation. So I'm sure that they know how to accommodate everyone in there. I want to bring it to people's attention that we're understaffed in a lot of departments, but I know that recreation and all of you make it work for everything that we try to do here, so for the community. So and I want to let you know that I appreciate it, and that I know that I see Denise back here and you, Mr. Chu, so I appreciate that as well. And that you always try to make it work for, especially in a community room like this. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Dr. Rod?
I think this is a significant historical moment in Daly City. To have like one of our own that is Pinay, Filipino American, the grandmother of Filipino American politics. And it's really, really significant. I have friends that come by and sometimes they'll drive through that neighborhood and they're like, I can't believe you all have like all these streets that are named after these Filipino American or Philippine historical icons, and I really, really appreciate it. I guess my comment or question would be, are there plans or do we have an option to provide like artwork or murals inside the community space? Because I think it would be amazing to have a mural that be dedicated to like the Filipino American leadership of who Tita Alice Bulos is. Is there any, I just want to know if there's any other like future plans or if we can do it.
There's no plans that I'm aware of right now in terms of our ability to do so. If it's within the interior and things that it's city's responsibility and control, then yes, I would say we would have the ability if we wanted to, and there was a space that was appropriate or a wall that may be appropriate, we would be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's one thing about having a name, but a name attached to a face or a mural is really important so that people have a really understanding of like when they walk in, they knew who Tita Alice is and her historical impact on like the leadership in Daly City and who she is. So something to think about in future planning.
Sure.
Yeah.
Excellent comment, Dr. Rod. Maybe the Arts and Cultural Commission can
Oh, yeah.
take a look at it. So I have one speaker card. Samantha, come on up, Samantha.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, let me introduce myself. I'm Samantha Hauser. I'm an employee of City Ventures, but I'm also a resident of Pacifica, and I live about 2 miles away from the site. And I drive by the Tita Alice Bulos Community Hub every day on the way to my son's school. And it gives me such a sense of pride and gratitude that I was included in something that's historical. And every time I drive down Highway 35 and I see similar naming, I feel part of something bigger. So it was this council that inspired it, that named it, that thought through similar things to what you're talking about, Dr. Rod, with the artwork. And I'm just really grateful to this council and to staff for all of the work that we've done together on this project and for allowing me to be part of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. All right, any other comments? All right, my final comment is that I want to thank the council, but in particular to Vice Mayor Manalo, who actually made the ask for a community hub from City Ventures. It was, to me, it's proof that if you don't ask, you won't never know if it can come and come to fruition, and it did. And so, as many of you have already said, Tita Alice was really a tremendous individual. And to have a center like this in Daly City where people can congregate and get together is something she would have honored and wanted. So I want to thank everybody that was involved in this and for actually getting something like this done. And so for that, I'd like to make a motion to accept the grant deed for the Tita Alice Bulos Community Hub from City Ventures Home Building. Can I get a second?
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Can all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none. That motion is approved. Let me go on to item number 5, which is appropriate funds and authorize the city manager to execute a professional services agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates Incorporated for the RO 256 Streetlight Conversion Project. Mr. Chu.
Yes, thank you again. This item is to execute a contract for design services to convert one of our RO streetlight projects into a parallel circuit and then eventually upgrading it to LED. Currently, the city owns and operates streetlights. We have several neighborhoods that are powered by these high voltage regulated output series circuit streetlights. This type of technology is very old, also proven to be unreliable. And so the proposal is to have the design firm Kimley Horn work on a design to convert the series circuit streetlights to a parallel circuit. It would be converted over to a more common 120, 240 volt circuit. It'll be a parallel circuit so that when one light goes out, they don't all go out, like the old Christmas tree lights used to be. If it's just one, that one will be out. We did get 2 proposals from 2 firms. We had a panel to evaluate the 2 proposals, and Kimley Horn was ranked first. They've done projects for other agencies like City of Burlingame, Menlo Park, and Vasella. The scope of work would be for Kimley Horn to review existing drawings, conduct field survey, coordinate with PG&E in regards to the circuitry, and then they would prepare plans, specifications, and cost estimates so that we can bid the project out to construction. Kimley Horn would also provide some support services during bidding and construction as well. The professional services agreement with Kimley Horn is estimated to not exceed $122,301.75. Currently, the project account has $86,200, and so there's an additional $36,200 that would be needed in order to execute the contract. And so, if approved, this action would appropriate the $36,200 out of unallocated Measure A funds. In summary, staff is recommending that the City Council appropriate the $36,200 of Measure A funds for the RO 256 Palisades Streetlight Conversion Project, and then also authorize the city manager to execute an agreement and any amendments up to $122,301.75 to Kimley Horn for design services for RO 256 Streetlight Conversion Project.
Thank you, Mr. Chu. Mr. Giovanni,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Chu. So is this the alternative to what we discussed before when we had that meeting with CPUC, PG&E, and at that, is this, since it's not the LED, is this a viable option for each of the sections?
This is the option for each of the sections in terms of a permanent repair and conversion over from a series circuit to a parallel circuit. The discussions that we've had with PG&E and others is in terms of being able to maintain the systems that we currently have. Because the city has roughly 15 neighborhoods and these
Right.
projects are very expensive, it'll take the city a long time to be able to convert all of our neighborhoods over. And so in the meantime, they do need to be maintained. And those are the things that we've been trying to work with PG&E on to be able to expedite those repairs, especially when the failure is on the PG&E side of the circuit.
Because in the interim, so I had a conversation with Congressman Mullen. They're working on monies, federal monies as well for infrastructure. But like you said, you just can't leave people in the dark. So is this the longest area, and then the plan for the Olympic area maybe after that?
This is the area that is next in line based on our maintenance records and the failure rates. So it's not necessarily the largest area, but it is the area that, based on our records in the past, that this one has a lot of issues. It goes out often, and so that's why it's scheduled for,
So there's a possibility that even the next one, because I think that the Olympic section is still currently out, or is it?
That's correct. And right now, again, working with PG&E.
I mean, it's no fault of your, I mean, you know that.
Yeah. We've been trying to work with PG&E.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, that
The
one has
documentation
underground.
and the money. So, if they need to listen, and they need to be responsible and help us out here, right, for the monies. But anyway, I appreciate that. So that'll be done. And what's the approximate time of the, like if this gets approved for the Palisades area?
Typically, the design process takes about 7-8 months of design work, research, survey data, and all that. And then, once we have the design done and the cost estimate, then we'll be able to go out to receive bids. And hopefully, at that time, we'll have funding to be able to.
Yeah, to do everyone.
for the
Yeah,
construction.
that's what I'm hoping as well.
It's expensive.
And then the other question, real quick, is on the Palisades, is so what is the difference in? I know that you just said that this type it will help us, right? But versus this to the LED, because are we going to eventually switch this again? You said.
No, so once we're able to convert it over to a parallel circuit, regular voltage 120, 240, then we will be able to upgrade them, and we would be upgrading them to LED as part of the project.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chu. I just like, me, my streetlight thing really keeps me up at night. But like other people, like they're texting you, say it's the Olympics out, and it's been out since New Year's. And that one is a mess, and I know you do the best you can. I told them about the transformers, and so you're educating me, and I'm educating them. So I love that because the community really appreciates it. So communication is always good, and I appreciate that. And thanks to the city manager as well, because he's quick to answer me whenever I send him that from a community member, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Ms. Manalo, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you for having this on the docket this evening, Director Chu. We know that it's been an issue in many of the neighborhoods, especially around the conversion of all of these into, I would say, new technology. And it's not an easy fix. And so I know that you're looking at ways to take care of this issue, as it's not a new issue. It's been ongoing for quite some time, and even before you onboarded as director. And so to see this moving, even though it has to be piece by piece, it's so important. And hopefully through the execution of this project, it can also be a pilot project to see how that works with the organization that is being chosen for this work. So looking forward to hear what the outcome is in the future, and then seeing it also be done in other neighborhoods that need it. So thank you for your support on this, and looking forward to hear the outcome.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Mr. Sylvester.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Chu, thank you for your presentation. As you've heard, and for the public to know, our system, the current RO system, is archaic. The second part is the series to parallel, and I understand the differences between the both of them. We've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I felt this should have been done yesterday. I think what we have here in front of us, based upon what you've given us and why you chose the particular area, is based on previous maintenance and outages. So as much as we would like to take care of the entire city, we can't do it. And how do you eat an elephant? And that's a piece at a time, one bite at a time. We will get it done. I think what we have here in front of us is to assist you in the coordination with PG&E to get this project moving, because you have a lot on your plate already. So I am deeply in favor of moving ahead. Again, as I make mention, we should have done this yesterday. So thank you for your great work. Thank you for the clarification. And thank you for all you do.
Okay,
Thank you.
any other comments? Hearing none, no public comment? None? All right, is there a motion to approve this item?
Motion?
To approve.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, this item is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chu.
Moving on to number 6, which is the amend the Daly City's conflict of interest code as to positions. Who's presenting on that?
Good evening, City Council members. This is the first time in all my time this has been removed from the agenda. I'm happy to talk about it finally. So every year, as you know, we all, as electeds, are required to turn in our Form 700s by the FPPC. You are fortunate or not to do this electronically. The employees, certain ones, are required to do it in paper to my office at the same time. So I work with the city attorney's office and first, of course, with HR to gather the list together. If you have questions specifically to the list, they'd probably be addressed by one of them. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer anything that I may know about this.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thank you for putting this all together into HR. Oh, there's Natalie. And because people don't really understand about the forms that we do fill out for the conflict of interest, and that there's more than just us, right, the elected officials, and it's quite an extensive list, and I know that things are changing for titles and things of that, and thank you to the city clerk for keeping everything updated, and to the HR, because I know it's an ongoing list of changes of titles and everything.
Every 2 years.
Yeah, with the FPPC. So thank you very much.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, there's a motion. Is there a motion to approve this item?
Motion to approve?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, this item is approved. Thank you. Let's go on to public hearings. Item number 10, which is the public hearing on removal of commercial vehicle parking on the east side of Bayshore Boulevard. I understand there's a request?
Yes, there is a request for the city council to continue this public hearing to a date certain in March, to March 13, 2023. Staff needs a little bit of additional time. We want to do some additional outreach, and so we're requesting that this item be continued.
All right. Is there a motion to continue
Motion.
this item?
Second?
All right. So that's for March 13, 2023. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any objection? Hearing none. Thank you. March 13th. Okay, item number 11, which is to introduce the ordinance amending the Daly City Municipal Code regarding commissioners and board member compensation, and adopt a resolution setting compensation for commissioners and board members.
Before we begin this conversation, I'd like to recuse myself.
Okay?
Right, I have a significant other that is commissioner.
All right. We will call you back in. Thank you, Dr. Rod.
Yeah.
All right. Who is going to present on this? Ms. Zimmerman is?
I will. Thank you, Mr. Mayor
Let's
and members of the City Council.
Let's just wait till Dr.
Okay.
Rod leaves.
Oh, okay.
Are there any other people that have relatives or anything? I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. Before you this evening, we request that the council conduct a public hearing and introduce an ordinance to amend the Daly City Municipal Code chapters, several chapters that include our commissions, our boards and commission, and essentially it's a cleanup ordinance. Chapter 2.60 of the Daly City Municipal Code would be added to allow for commissioner and board member compensation to be set by resolution. By way of background, the City Council has appointed several boards and commissions. We currently have 7 active boards with the council. Commissioners and board members serve at the pleasure of the City Council and do not receive compensation for any attendance at their meetings. The City Council desired to establish compensation to be paid to each commissioner and board member for the attendance at each member as defined by the Brown Act. Currently, before you, we also have a resolution to set the compensation for this, for the boards and commission. The ordinance by way of introduction would add the chapter 2.6 by introduction. I would also add, since we are also considering a resolution as part of the staff report, is the resolution set compensation for the commissioners and boards at $50 a meeting to be attended at the meeting. Currently, we have the library and trustees, state law does cap that the compensation be capped at $50 a month for compensation by state law. At this time, staff is available to answer any questions, but the council may have.
Yes, so I have some questions, Ms. Zimmerman. So on the $50 per meeting, is that if a if a commissioner does not attend, do they still get the compensation?
No, they have to attend the meeting.
And then do you know what if there are compensation done in other cities throughout the county for commissioners?
My understanding, there is compensation. To my knowledge, I believe San Mateo has it, but I'm not certain. I know that Human Resources has done some research with that respect, if you need to know any additional cities that do receive compensation.
Do you know if, I saw that you said that the state maximum is 50, so that other cities then?
So for that's for library trustees only.
Okay.
They're the only commission by state law that has a cap at $50 per month.
I see.
So if they have an additional special meeting, they can only get $50.
Okay.
And that is through the education code.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from council? Go ahead.
I'll wait till
Mr.
after the public comment.
Oh.
No, that's, I think Mr. Sylvester.
Mr. Sylvester, do you have a question?
No, not at this time.
Yeah,
No? No?
after public comment.
Yes, my
Okay.
question. or
Um,
attendance, yeah.
I don't have any public comment. Is there any public comment? No public comment. Go ahead.
We do need to open the public hearing just for
Yeah.
formality.
So at this time, we'll open the public hearing and invite public comment. No public comment. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I do have a couple of questions. So what is the impotence of this, and not that, and then why isn't the bike pedestrian committee included? Because some of them been serving for 9 years and never missed a meeting, and they also are public service with our, even though it's a little structured a little differently,
So I can.
but
answer the first-
they do volunteer to serve.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, I can answer the first question. What is the impetus of this? The impetus
Yeah,
is
thank
that
you.
I had asked that we consider compensating our commissioners, because I felt that even though they are volunteer members of the community, that they do a tremendous amount of work for our community. They often spend a lot of hours. I watched, I would say basically most of their meetings online. And I could see how involved, how interested they are, and I could see how productive they are in helping the city and assisting us in making some of the decisions we struggle to make. And then I also compare what they do and as far as the compensation that we get. So although we get some compensation as council members, they don't get any. And the nominal amount of $50, I don't think is enough, but it's what the state law allows us to do. We, as council members, are public servants. Commissioners are public servants. We get, as council members, we get reimbursed for things like mileage. When we go to events, the city pays for it. We get paid for our public service, again, although not a whole lot, but we are compensated for what we do. And even though commissioners don't do exactly what we do, they do a lot. And they spend a lot of their time. Some of them even spend some of their own treasure in getting some of the missions accomplished by, and a lot of them go above and beyond what we ask them to do as representatives of the city, and not just are confined in council meetings, but actually go out in the community and be our representatives. So that's the impetus, because I felt that we needed to recognize them and give them some compensation, although not much, at $50. And it rewards those who actually are at the meeting, who participate at the meeting, and it doesn't reward anybody who doesn't come. And your other question was?
About the Bike Pedestrian Committee.
Okay, can you answer that one?
Yes, so the Bike Pedestrian Committee was not considered a board or commission. Boards or commission were established by ordinance and essentially are advisory as extension to the council. So that's basically the impetus of why we chose the compensation to be for boards and commissions and not committees.
Any other question?
Yeah, no, because they do a lot of work as well, so they give their time to the community. And then for me, so that averaged like 9,000 approximately if we just did these. And I don't know why I get what you're saying though, why they're not included, they're not considered a commission or a board. And I'm not sure how they would feel about it. We haven't had a review of our budget, and even though I have to agree, they go above and beyond everything they do. So if we did $9,000 times 5 years, 45,000, and then if we did that, be moving into like 10 years, be 90,000. We haven't had our mental health specialist yet. We haven't even had our budget yet. And I know that we're understaffed in a lot of departments, and that people have been asking also to have ceremony library open on a Saturday, and other needs in our community met first. And not saying that they are definitely go above and beyond. We know that, the people that serve us, as most of us have served on these commissions. So I would like to personally see the budget before any other money is out released, to see where we're at, because I know we're in recessionary times, and there's a lot of things in our city that have not even been even touched yet. It's been put on the back burner because of monies. And again, it's $50, I get it. And for time, they go above and beyond. But at the same time, money adds up. And then what do we say to the Bike Pedestrian Committee? What do we say to our part-time workers that are making like $15 or whatever they're making? And to people in our community that want the library open on Saturdays? And then our mental health clinician that we're trying to get, and Mr. Nevin's here, but I have not seen, and we just approved, which is no reflection on our city manager, but these are monies that are going out these last few meetings, and we haven't even had a budget review. And to be fiscally responsible for the people of Daly City, and to let them know that we are reviewing every single item, because I knew when we had our last budget, we were gonna have to tighten our belt, as what we were told from our last budget, and that we really haven't truly even recovered from COVID. And the commissioners that I know, even though I'm not speaking for them, would rather it go back into programming, probably into things in our library, maybe in our recreation programming, or other things in the city for needs, I think that maybe hear from them, and I need a budget, to look at the budget review, to be fiscally responsible. So that's where I'm at right this moment, and I yield to listening to the other colleagues.
Ms. Manalo, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I see the premise of this in that, a lot of these commissioners and Board of Trustees put their time and effort, and seeing it's $50. The question I was going to ask is if they were to receive, and you asked it, Mr. Mayor, if they don't make a meeting, they would not receive the stipend. It's like a very small stipend. My question is for Director Nevin, what is $9,000? What is the percentage of $9,000 out of our total general budget?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Our budget for fiscal '23, if we'll say general fund, is approximately $120 million. You mentioned a figure, I think 9,000?
Yeah.
What was that in reference to?
Is it 9,000?
The fiscal, what we would budget for this item, as mentioned in the agenda report, is approximately 18,000. But that would be much more than would probably be expended. If we add up all 7 commissions and how many times they meet per year in attendance, I think the actual expenditure is going to be much less than that. That's just a sort of a budget amount that we would set aside for this item.
You mean like if there's a lack of a quorum, they won't meet, so nobody gets paid?
Exactly.
Okay.
And if there are, 3 or 4 commissioners versus 5, depending on a meeting, it'll just be based on actual attendance. So we're going to budget close to what the maximum expenditure would be, but the actual expenditure probably will not be close to that. We talked about internally something around 10,000 or less per year.
So in answer to her question, what's the percentage of that 123 million budget of, what is it, 18,000?
Yeah, it's nominal. It's extremely low. I mean, I didn't calculate what it is based on our full general fund budget, but it's much less than 1%.
Yeah.
Less than 1%?
Much less.
Much less.
Right. Any other questions? No other questions? All right. No other public comment? Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to approve this item. Is there a second?
Actually, this is a 2-part item because we have an ordinance and a resolution, so we need a motion for the city attorney to read by title only first.
All right, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right?
Any objection? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Now, can I get a motion for the city attorney to read by title only? I'll make that motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Oh, I get
It's a voice vote, yes.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, we have 2 noes. All right, so this motion fails.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to communications, which is consider and select artwork for the National Fitness Campaign Fitness Court Lincoln location.
Pardon me, Mayor, may I get a better reading on who voted no or
Yes, can we have that for the record?
I
Okay.
think you have to hit the back out. We have to
Sorry.
clarify, yeah, sorry.
You want a roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get a roll call vote. Madam
Just for the record, we have a motion and we have a second for the city attorney to read by ordinance the first reading.
Ms. DiGiovanni,
No, I need to see the budget.
Ms. Manalo,
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, no.
Mr. Buenaventura.
Aye. All right, that motion fails. Let's go on to item number 12. Dr. Daus Magbual. There you go. Okay, welcome back. Consider and select artwork for the National Fitness Campaign Fitness Court Lincoln Park location. Ms. Ramos.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Tonight, the City Council will have an opportunity to consider and select artwork for the National Fitness Campaign Fitness Court located at Lincoln Park. We have printed presentations to reference as well. As way of background, on March 14, 2022, the City Council accepted and appropriated $60,000 in grant funding from the National Fitness Campaign to install and activate outdoor fitness courts at two city parks, Westlake Park and Lincoln Park. Each fitness court provides the option to be designed as a unique and custom piece of public art, as you can see on the screen. The fitness court located at Lincoln Park will be installed in an open space. This location provided an opportunity to elect the NFC Local Artist Collection and Grant option that allowed the city to incorporate a public art mural measuring 32 feet wide and 7 feet tall to beautify the neighborhood and act as a deterrent for graffiti. Whereas the fitness court located at Larkham Clubhouse at Westlake Park will be installed in a space that will be covered by slopes and trees and will not be visible to passersby. As such, the NFC Local Artist Collection and Grant option was not elected for this location. In addition to creating a unique, one-of-a-kind mural specific to Daly City, some benefits of the NFC Local Artist Collection and Grant option include support and showcase a local artist in our community, including artists and artwork bio on the fitness court, and an award of a $5,000 NFC grant for the selected artist. Engaging local digital artists began back in July 2022 when a wide call for digital artists was launched. The call was shared through the city's website, social media channels, Daly City Arts and Culture Commission, Jefferson Union High School District, and Daily News Summer 2022 edition. The call was also posted at recreation facilities. Local digital artists were given until September 16, 2022 to submit their interest. A total of 8 digital artists responded to the call. An Arts and Culture Commission subcommittee meeting was then scheduled on September 22, 2022 to provide the NFC guidelines for the digital artwork and guidance on how the artist can approach creating a digital design of what Daly City represents to me, as well as answer any questions. Artists were also offered the direct access to staff and the Arts and Culture Commission subcommittee until the submission deadline of November 4, 2022. A total of 2 submissions were received by the deadline, and there were no late submissions. At the January 10, 2023 regular meeting of the Arts and Culture Commission, the Commission reviewed the 2 submissions and recommended selection of artist number 1. Here you'll see the submission from artist number 1, and I'll read the statement that they included. In my submission, I wanted to feature something that may not be the first thing that comes to mind when thinking about Daly City: the native flora and fauna. One thing that I value immensely is how many little pockets of nature Daly City has. San Bruno Mountain, Fort Funston, and the various parks around the city, just to name a few. Native plants symbolize an everlasting characteristic of this area, something that spans the annals of history and will hopefully continue to be present in the future. With this installation being in Lincoln Park, I was inspired to merge my idea of depicting nature with still incorporating themes of fitness and strength. My mind immediately went to bees, the little resilient warriors that play an insurmountable role in ecosystems. Bees have the misfortune of having a bad rap, and I wanted to combat this by highlighting their importance and strength by centering my design around the crucial job they play in the environment, something that benefits us all and contributes to the conservation of Daly City's history. Here is a close-up of the quality of the digital artwork submitted by artist number 1, which provides a very crisp piece of art that will be located on the fitness court if selected. Next, we have the submission from artist number 2. Their statement reads, I am a proud Daly City resident, and I happen to live across the street from Lincoln Park. Every day I see the value of this shared location to a diverse population, from the Tai Chi in the morning, to the Saturday and Sunday gatherings at the community center, to the food bank distribution days, to the school use for PE, to the newly refurbished basketball court, and to everyone else in this community that benefits from this beautiful slice of open space. In my artwork, I chose to highlight the site-specific location of the proposed structure, which is at the top of the hill, with the backdrop of San Bruno Mountain. I wanted to display not only the natural beauty that surrounds us here, and which often goes unrecognized, but also to include some of the history of the area. I included native flora and fauna, and I have seen coyotes here at Lincoln Park in the early mornings, including the endangered mission blue butterfly, which is endemic to the area. I also chose to allude to Daly City's historical place as a farming supplier for the surrounding region, in addition to having been a flower farming community. The mission bell at the top of the hill symbolizes Daly City's important place in the El Camino Real, linking it to San Francisco and as the gateway to the peninsula and beyond. Lincoln Park is in particularly close proximity to the Mission Road itself, wherein this critical period of growth and development took place. Of course, no depiction of Daly City would be complete without at least a hint of fog, which I showed gently rolling in from the west. I chose to keep this at a minimum, as our microclimate here is respectively sunny and warm despite the undeniable coastal presence. And here you'll see the quality of the digital artwork submitted by artist number 2, which provides a softer piece of art. And again, just a closer view of the quality of the digital artwork when it's enlarged. At this time, although not a large turnout of submissions, both artists submitted beautiful takes of what Daly City represents to me. The City Council has the options to review the 2 artwork submissions, consider the Arts and Culture Commission's recommended selection of artist number 1, and select artwork for the National Fitness Campaign Fitness Court located at Lincoln Park, or direct staff to put out a second call for local digital artists to submit artwork for review and consideration. However, please note that the turnaround time would have to be fairly quick in order to provide NFC enough time to work with the artists to finalize print and ship the artwork for installation, which is slated for the summer. Staff is available to provide any additional information desired by Mayor, Vice Mayor, and the council members.
All right, any questions? Dr. Wright?
I have a quick question. Well, congratulations to both the artists. I think they're both great pieces of art. I just had a quick question. Like, so we get to pick one, and then that design is the design for both Lincoln Park and the one?
So it'll just be for Lincoln Park.
Okay.
And I'll go back to the slide to show the designs of the area. So Lincoln Park here, which is shown with the yellow line, is
gotcha.
where the artwork will be presented. So viewable by those that are in the park, at the community center, versus the one at Westlake, where you see the yellow line there is against the slopes and the trees, so not visible. So that would just have a generic kind of design
gotcha.
printed on it.
Okay. So we can't put like one for one place and one place. I mean,
Good idea.
At this time, it wasn't selected. I mean, if that's council's direction, we can see if that is an option with the National Fitness Campaign.
Can I see that again, where that ground? So, can you do both walls?
So the wall where the equipment, well, the back wall, right, is the yellow side, and then the equipment where the participants would be using the fitness court is open on the other white portions of the fitness court. So it's an open design and really just the one wall that would have the artwork.
Can't see both, okay. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to say thank you, and thanks to Arts and Cultural Commission. I know that it's hard to select because, you know, everybody's so talented. But thank them for taking the time. So these are the final 2 that they decided to bring to us, right? So
It were the only 2 submissions that we received after a wide call.
beautiful, though. So thank you to the commission for bringing, and thank you, Leilani.
Is there anything that you can tell us about the artists?
We chose to keep the artists anonymous just so that purely their artwork could shine on its own. And then when and if selected, they would be recognized at the grand opening when the fitness court is scheduled to open in late summer. And that's when NFC will present them with the $5,000 grant.
I see, okay. So, when the report indicates that the Arts and Culture Commission recommended artist number 1, it wouldn't matter, but do you know if that was a unanimous vote?
It was.
It was. Are you privy to what was the reasoning they chose art number one?
And I'll go to the drawing. Because the artwork was created in a digital format initially, when it's blown up to a large scale, and this will be a 32-foot by 7-foot wall, it's going to stay very true to the design. So no matter how big it is, it will be very crisp. So that was kind of the deciding factor for the Arts and Culture Commission when we discussed it at their January meeting. Now, if you look at the other artwork, it was created as a watercolor painting and then converted into a digital format. So when enlarged, it won't stay true to the design at its small scale. It's going to give you more of the blurred lines because of the vectorization of how the file needs to be converted digitally. And so when at a very large scale, it just, has a softer approach.
I see. So I'm interested in everyone's, obviously we have to make a recommendation, but I will tell you that I originally wanted number two. And it's because I thought it looked like a painting. And it had what the artist described and some of the things that Daly City is all about, which is San Bruno Mountain, the coyotes even, and the fog. And so, but what you just said made a lot of sense to me, which is I'm not sure number two will look good in its digital form. I don't think it's gonna look like a painting. And I think it'll probably stand out even more with number one, as the Arts and Culture Commission explained. So my vote is number one.
Mr. Mayor. So, yeah, I want to ask also, so in the Arts and Culture Commission, if we pick one, was there any suggestion that the other one could just submit maybe an art form as you suggested? We like both, right? Did the second one be put somewhere, or? I'm not a teacher, so I don't know.
I thought that since we had two locations, it would make sense maybe, and well, I know it's not fit to scale, but
Yeah,
we could have had one, like, for instance, I'm with Ray, I would have loved having that number two here at Lincoln Park, and then the butterfly one right there, park down the street. Just because of the
can't see
the
it.
art it said, is there any possible way of the person that drew it out can convert it into a digital form?
We've worked with the artist, we provided an extension, it was submitted in a non-digital format, and we provided direction from our National Fitness Campaign representatives to kind of guide them through the process. The artist was not familiar with digital formats, and so the best way he could kind of convert it so it would still be applicable is to take that drawing and make it a digital art. Although it's because it's such a small scale, because it's a watercolor, it will never truly be a digital artwork.
Ms. Manon?
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, I think along the same veins, like I like option number two because it had even the mission blue butterfly and everything, but understanding how large this is going to be, the proportion of it, it seems like the first option is best because it's gonna be obviously a very large scale. And it'll dilute that, but maybe this is an idea, maybe we could highlight it somewhere on our website. I don't know, like, we have tag, we have like photographs, it's an option, maybe on the, like, I don't know. It's just an option, because it has elements of Daly City and, even talked about the fog, and so it's just an alternative. I know there's two submissions, but maybe there's some way to still ask the artists and to highlight their work, so.
And I think just from afar, when you see the painting, if this was selected on the National Fitness Court, it would look basically true to this. It's just that when you come up close to it, right, you're not gonna have those crisp, clean lines.
Got it.
Yeah, and it's,
Got it.
yeah.
Got
But
it.
it is definitely something I can always take back to Arts and Culture Commission to see what we can do with the artwork as we're continuing to look at, public art murals and other spaces of the city.
Yeah,
It's a shame.
yeah, it is nice.
Okay, any other comments?
Yes, I'd like to.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Leilani, for the presentation. I do understand the concept behind pixelation and what we have here. Option number 2, I believe, is not really an option in my view, because I think we should get moving with this. So I'm willing to take the recommendation of the commission and go with option drawing number 1. However, we only received 2 submissions. I think it goes without saying that we should do something for the other submitter, you know, like appreciation and maybe future placement somewhere, but let's not forget about the second submitter. That's my strong feeling. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Comments? All right, I think we have option number 1 is the majority.
Thank you so much, and we will definitely consider the second
Yeah.
offer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 13, awards of bids and contracts. Award of contract for the construction, development, testing of the Margate well. Mr. Cosgrove.
Thank you very much. I have a PowerPoint, and I have paper copies. Oh, thank you. Paper copies in case you can't see it very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the City Council. In the item before you, staff requests to accept both bids received, waive any minor inconsistencies, and authorize staff to contract with Majora Brothers Drilling Incorporated for the construction, development, and testing of a new drinking water well at Margate Street for the bid cost of $1,512,400, along with the 15% contingency amount of $227,000. The total not to exceed amount would be $1,739,400. A little background about groundwater. It is a critical source of drinking water for the citizens of Daly City. It is a very important part of our water resources portfolio. All of the wells your Department of Water and Wastewater Resources department currently operate produce about 2 million gallons per day of drinking water, and all pump from the West Side Groundwater Basin. This basin is below San Francisco, South San Francisco, San Bruno, and Daly City, and each agency pumps water from it. The pumping is regulated by a contractual agreement among those agencies. The potential well before you tonight, when complete and producing drinking water, would be Daly City's first well outside of the West Side Groundwater Basin. And as background to this specific project, in 2010 and 2011, under the leadership of Tom Piccolotti, who was a manager in the department at the time, and along with engineering consultants from Brown and Caldwell, this location was recognized as a potential source of groundwater because of its topography and geographical characteristics. Exploratory work was performed and a test well was drilled confirming there was a source of water underground in this location and that it would be separate from the West Side Groundwater Basin. And this is a key part of the project. This water, Daly City would have sole rights to this water. In the subsequent years, staff developed a capital project for a drinking water well at this site and funding was sought. Last year, this council authorized $2 million of our American Rescue Plan Act allocation to fund the design of this well, along with the action recommended tonight to construct, develop, and test this new well. Now I would like to show you some renderings of what the drilling would look like during the construction phase, along with what a potential new treatment building and well site would look like. The first picture is just to kind of orient yourself on where this well is located. To the north of that screen or your page, the top of that screen is north, to the left is west, to the right is east, and the bottom is south. If you can see there, Gellert Boulevard is just to the east of the middle there, which is where the concrete storage tank is. That's what we call Reservoir 5B. To the north, maybe 3,000 feet to the north of that tank is the fire station at Gellert, along with Ceremony library at Gellert Park. So just to kind of orient yourself there. So this is a rendering of what the drill rig would look like. The flat concrete wall of the tank is what you see next to it. We used Google Earth to kind of show the neighborhood. So if you can kind of picture it, those are homes that are on the other side of the trees there. The building there kind of in the middle with the blue roof, that would be the potential new treatment facilities. It's kind of oversized there. That's farther down the project, the treatment facilities. So we just kind of put a conservative size to that building there. But you can see the drill rig located there. The closest homes are about 100 feet from that drill rig. To the left of that screen is where Gellert is, and the homes there are about the closest, about 100 feet to that drill rig. So one of the important parts of this project is to minimize the noise from the drill rig. So part of the specifications, part of the requirements are to put up a sound barrier between or outside of the drill rig, and that will deaden the noise and limit the impact to the neighborhood there from the noise of the drill rig. And this is just another view. This is looking south now, that same picture with that drill rig. And then again, with the sound barrier there, protecting the residents from the sound from the drill rig. And this is just on its own, what kind of the final product would potentially look like with the new building with treatment facilities inside of it. The smaller building to the right of that, that's the existing pump station, and then that rectangular green building there is the existing standby emergency generator. And this is a video which I'm hoping will play for us here. There we go. So just kind of a drone-like shot of what this drill rig would look like located right there. Just to kind of wrap this up, the production target for the well is approximately 500 gallons per minute, which is 720,000 gallons per day. And this represents approximately 15% of our daily drinking water demand for the citizens of Daly City. The approximate schedule that the contractor is required to start on March 1st, and we anticipate about 4 to 6 weeks for this project. There's still a lot of work to do, but we're very excited for the project, and it is a very important source of, a future source of drinking water. And I have with me Chief of Operations Greg Kraus and the Acting Assistant Director Kyla DeFries sitting in the background. Both were very instrumental and very, very helpful in getting this project in front of you. And we are happy to answer any questions you may have.
How'd you do that video?
Well, I didn't do it at all. The engineering firm Brown and Caldwell put that together for us.
Nice. Well done. Any questions? Go ahead, Ms. Minot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Wonderful presentation. I think it just speaks for itself that it's so important to have this as a resource for our city, Daly City, and how even just having such innovation within our city, especially around, you said it'd be 15% of the usage. So, you know, this is, I know a lot of work has gone into this. I'm in full support of it. I know how important it is. I mean, we'll see how the rain, that's not rain, it's wind right now that I hear. But to have our own water well, as you mentioned, is extremely important. And so I say wonderful work to your whole team. And I see this as an asset for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, thank you, it was very interesting. You learned something, thank you very much for the work. I have a question, so with the well that we're having now, like after it's finished, it'll go directly into, that'll be all ours, right?
Yes, exactly, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which
we
is
would have
great.
sole rights to the water here, which is different than what our existing wells
Right,
are.
so that'll change?
Yeah, it just will be critical when it comes to like moments that we're in now in the middle of the drought. What we deal with our contract over our wells is we have to kind of deal with these other agencies and how much water we pull out of the ground, whereas with this one, the full yield will be ours that we can put back into our system and serve our customers.
Okay, so it'll go directly, okay. That will not affect the cost to the customer, correct?
No, I mean, there is obviously capital costs that are going into building this well, which fortunately, as I mentioned, you approved the $2 million allocation of ARPA funds, which was federal
Correct.
funds that we received. So that was extremely good and important seed money. And we are searching for other funds as well. We're applying for grants with the state also to try to see if we can help fund this project. But it will ultimately need an investment of the citizens of Daly City, the customers of the water department. However, once it is built, the water will be much less expensive than the water we purchase from the San Francisco PUC,
Right.
which is our other main source of water.
So since there are funds that might be coming with the infrastructure on, even on the federal level, maybe with the city manager and both of you look into that as well? Because I'm hoping that they come this way, because we need a lot of infrastructure, as Mr. Chu and everybody in this whole city can attest for. You know, like, we need that money. So this would be a great project to possibly get federal funds for. So thank you, and the city manager. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cross.
Thank you.
Dr. Ron?
Yeah, I just, two quick questions. One is this the area that we got funding a couple of years back, and then we wanted to put a park or something, like a Margate Park?
Yes.
That's the same. So once this project is done, we'll have this and a park around it? Is that how it's gonna?
Well, we are still looking at how to build recreation facilities on this site. Maybe this might be the best way to kind of look at it. We have a lot of work that the water department is doing over the next 5 to 10 years. The well, and then also there's structural rehab work we're doing to the concrete tank. So there are some locations there for recreation, like the driveway area just off of Margate there.
Okay.
But some of the funding that you're talking about for recreation, we are looking at potentially another park, Hillside Park, which we're talking about. But there is a lot of area there
Yeah.
that can be put to use.
Okay. And my other question was, I mean, this sounds like a great idea, but why wasn't this done like in past years?
It was really funding. Back in 2010 and 11, when this was originally kind of conceptualized, the water fund had gotten pretty low in its reserves. So it took us a few years to kind of build back. And then, of course, the main thing was the allocation of ARPA funds that you made last year that provided that seed money and really generated this project. But there's a lot of work that goes into it. Also years of design work and conceptual work that goes into it also.
All right, thanks, Josh.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to start off by making a comment to our city manager, Mr. Pigalotti, and I want to say you've done well. And what I mean by done well is you were part of wastewater earlier, and as Mr. Cosgrove had made mention, and to get additional funding, because we always wanted to protect that fund. You know, we want to spend it elsewhere, and we're told, nope, that's wastewater funds, and you can't touch it. But to come to this point today, I think it's outstanding to have this decision that we have to make put for us. On your point, Mr. Cosgrove, I want to say excellent presentation. And from the past couple of meetings, I see that you've blossomed and your confidence has really raised, and I can definitely see that.
Thank you.
So congratulations, sir. I was going to ask, do we have the money, but you've answered that question. One question I do have is, you don't even have to write this down. You could probably just answer this right off the top of your head. We're getting water right now, and if I'm not mistaken, it's through Hetch Hetchy, and we have to pay a certain percentage. Is that correct?
Yes, about 50 to 60% of our daily drinking water demand is purchased from the San Francisco PUC's regional water system. And we pay, I believe the wholesale rate is $4.75 per 100 cubic feet. You know, whereas like this well, ultimately when it's built, will just be a fraction of that cost. So, yes,
Well, a fraction is better than nothing.
yes.
So I want to say outstanding work in bringing this before council. I'm definitely all for it. It's a great job, as my fellow council member had asked you. I just wish we had done this much sooner, but we're here now. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Questions? I do have a question about, you said, when it came to testing of the water, every time I listen or hear about water and testing, I always think about the Flint, Michigan issue. So when they had an issue with the lead in the water, as far as testing for lead, what do you know about that?
Yeah, we test for it constantly.
Yeah, we test,
Here, hold on.
sorry, the situation in Flint was a pH issue. So the pH got low enough to where the actual type of piping they had allowed lead to precipitate in their piping distribution system because they didn't have enough alkalinity in the water that when they changed sources. This is well water, so we do test for lead. And when we do a D-swap, it's called, it's the testing that we're going to be doing. We're going to find out more about the constituents in the well water, but likely the lead will not be an issue. We could see other constituents we have to treat for salinity. We don't know. That's why the size of the treatment facility could change based on what kind of treatment we'd need. But we don't anticipate having a lead issue.
Okay. But how often do you test for lead?
We do a triannual lead and copper testing throughout the city. It's regulated by the EPA, and we participate in that. So it's every 3 years we do the entire city.
Oh, so it's only 3 years, every 3 years?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
that's correct.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have just one quick question. So in particular, where that is, will that water also go into the Franciscan? The reason I asked that is because they had that issue. I don't know where their water comes from or how that piece of well or whatever tank they have, that we're delivering water to that tank, and then we put money, is this factual? And then we put the water in whatever, and is that our land that we're putting in the tank where the Franciscan receives their water? Would you mind explaining that? And will this help the Franciscan? Will they get this water?
I'll take the part of your question about the source water for the Franciscan. We do serve the Franciscan water. We serve the park through a backflow device, right, and a meter. And then beyond that, it's the tank belongs to them, and they have a booster station that also belongs to them, along with the distribution internally. But their water is served by Daly City. Now, the water that would be produced at this well, would it make its way to that zone?
So the water that would be produced at this well will go direct. Our plan is to put it directly into that reservoir, which will serve the west side of the city for the most part.
Okay, so
The water that Franciscan gets is our water from our Zone 3 area. It's quite good, high quality water.
so where it goes, where it's transferred, is into that tank. Is that tank on county land that we, how is this done distribution-wise, if you don't mind?
The tank you're talking about is Franciscan?
Yeah,
That's private, right? So that's their tank. But we provide water for them to put in the tank. But we use their pump. We operate the pump to fill the tank.
okay.
So it's our water going into their tank.
Okay, we can look into the other things later. Okay, but this obviously, you said is the west side.
Right, the
Okay,
west side
so it
of
won't
the city.
affect that. But then we can look into the other issue because it's not on the agenda right now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank both of you.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
So move.
Or can I have a first and a second? Can I get a roll call, please?
Pardon me? Ms. DiGiovanni?
Aye.
Dr. Rod?
Aye.
Ms. Manalo?
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester?
Ben Sylvester, aye.
Mr. Buenaventura?
Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
On to appointments, any board, commissioner, membership, committee appointments?
I do, Mayor.
Go ahead, Dr. Rod.
Let me see here. I'd like to appoint Elaine Velasper, who is an artist and a cultural worker. Her work is heavily influenced by her experience growing up as an undocumented immigrant in Daly City, and she's been active in politics, issues, and advocacy in San Francisco for the past 20 years. And she's bringing a lot of knowledge and experience to advance the culture enrichment of Daly City residents over the past 20 years that she's been working and living here in Daly City. So I'd like to appoint her to the Arts and Culture Commission.
All right, is there a second?
Second?
All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Objection, hearing none, she's appointed. Any other appointments? Hearing none, let's go on to item number 14, which is the council committee reports. Any council committee reports? Hearing none, let me go to city council reports. Any city council reports? Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. I just wanted to say at the city council report, well, tomorrow's Valentine's Day, and we should emulate that every day to the staff, to everyone here, that, for kindness and love, that should emanate every day. And then also, if we could, I know that other cities around us and we're not using it, I'm advocating for a call-in. I think Pacifica still has, according to their mayor, Tiger, that they still have a way for people to call in, and South San Francisco is still going to keep a way for people to call in. And I think that it's for our those physically challenged who are not able to come out and make public comment without even just trying to type online, if they don't even have access online. None of their comments are even read out loud. So I think public comment and free speech, I'm an advocate for it, no matter what side of the aisle you're on or where you're at or what you have to say. And then the only other TVs that I've saw was the one in Pacifica and the one in San Bruno that I know that the staff is, again, looking into for Channel 27. We're still having issues, but we do have a lot of people at home that even in, like tonight, even when it's so windy, it's really not good for people to come out for health reasons. And we did have Mr. Herpy and our lovely friend who's always here come out and be with us tonight. But the weather's not always advocate for our senior population or those challenged. And if they could have a way to call in, I am advocating for it. And I know it may not be my colleagues' request, but I do ask that it comes back to council and we do with like our surrounding cities and provide that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, any other city council reports? Hearing none, let's go on to staff report. Any staff report?
No reports from staff tonight, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr.
The one thing I would like to point out, going back to the well item, was that for the last 6 months, staff has carried that item to fruition. So while I may have been involved early, they have taken, I wish they would have stayed because I'd like to recognize that fact that they have carried that project to fruition. So to staff, maybe they could watch this later, but that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Bacalani. Okay, now we're at the point of adjourning in memories. Let me start out with Dr. Rod.
I want to adjourn a memory for my cousin, Karen Daos Kapalaran. She was born on November 22nd, 1985, and transitioned on Saturday, January 28th, 2023, in Anaheim, California, at the age of 37, due to her long bout with cancer. She was surrounded by her family, who she loved dearly. Karen was a nurse and creative. She was a photographer. Karen said, photography has allowed me to create a better version of myself. It has taken me places I never thought I would see. allowed me to tell my story through the lens of a camera. So own your craft and feed it often, because you never know where it might take you. Karen, or how I would address her as Kang Kang by our family, I want to thank you for being one of the many shining lights in our family. I learned from a close friend who's a photographer, and he said that photography was about capturing light to create images. Karen, as a photographer, you captured the moments, memories, and magic of life. You not only captured it, but you were a part of it. Times you came up to Daly City when we traveled as a family, celebrating family milestones and birthdays, you brought your infectious smile and energy that would illuminate our spirits. Your quirkiness, your dances, upping my game on street fashion, knowing the best foodie spots, your search for the best chicken wings, sharing your latest creative project, your next trip, everything you represented was cool. I love that I met another person that loves cats as much as I did. You taught me to capture the moment and to never take life for granted. I'll miss your full embraces, your jokes, how to cook A5 Wagyu beef correctly, and your positive presence. I love you, Ading, and rest easy. I know you've transitioned from the physical realm, but your light is shared amongst all those you've touched. And in her deathbed, when she was talking to her dad, she was calling for my wife. And at the time, a lot of things were failing. And she was talking to her dad saying, can you call that girl? Can you call that girl? And then my uncle was telling her, like, what do you mean, that girl? She said, Daly City. He's like, do you mean Arlene? And she's like, yeah, I want to talk to her. And then a few hours later, she passed away. And so she's survived by her mother, Vic Philomer Das Capelaran, her father, Eduardo Capelaran, and her brother, Kenneth Daos Capelaran. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rod. Ms. DiGiovanni.
Yeah, thank you. It's actually heartbreaking that we have a beautiful young soul of 14 years old from T.R. Policita that we lost. He was surrounded by his family. They had a vigilite with the principal, the Jefferson Elementary School District, and fellow students. So we mourn his loss and know that his light is not lost, and that his family will be providing and will do something in his memorial in memory of him. His name is Jacob Brandu Garcia. So condolences to all. Also, condolences to Gloria Rosella Tamo's family, our friend Nora Mercado's mother and her siblings, who originated from the Philippines and have lived in long-term residence in our city. She was 102 years old. She was a volunteer, a longtime volunteer at our Lincoln Center, and was always there dancing and giving of her love and light. So rest easy, Gloria, and to you, Nora, there for your condolences. And with respect, the next time for Karina Lacusta, because they're going to send me something to read in her honor, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any others? I'd like us to adjourn in memory of Eduardo Eddie Rossetti. Eddie was a longtime board member of PBRC. He was a union worker, very strong and proud of his union membership. He's proud of his daughter and his family. He lived a good life, and he was retired when he passed away. Rest in peace, Eddie. You will be missed. I also would like to adjourn in memory of Adaman Adi Angeles. Adi was a longtime member of the Filipino-American Democratic Club, one of the founding members. He later retired and was actually very active in the homeless community. He was known for going to Costco and buying just a huge amount of hot dogs and giving them to the homeless and passing them on the streets. in the Tenderloin. I'd also like to adjourn in memory of Charles Preston Morrow, who's the grandfather of Charlie Machado Morrow, who passed away. Let's take a moment of silence and honor these people. One more, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is in memoriam of Battalion Chief, North County Fire Authority, an employee of Daly City for over 22 years, Joel Abelson. His mother, Janet Abelson, who was a proud and passionate advocate. Much of her life was devoted to public service. She was elected to the El Cerrito City Council in 1999 and served for 23 years, including a record 5 terms as mayor. She deeply loved her community and was a champion of disability access, public transit, environmental sustainability, smart urban planning, and education. She gave time to many organizations, including the West Contra Costa Transportation Authority, League of California Cities, the El Cerrito Democratic Club, Soroptimus International, and El Cerrito High School, the Archiving Committee, the League of Women Voters, the Metropolitan Transit Commission, BART, AC Transit, the Contra Costa Community College Foundation, and PTA from the school to state level. She was survived by her husband, 5 children, and 4 grandchildren.
Thank you, Ms. Vice Mayor. Let's take a moment of silence, please. All right. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.